Hello, my name is Rainer Hanekamp and this is NG News with the latest updates from the Angular community every week. TypeScript version 6 is out, and as already mentioned in a few episodes before, that one is the last version which is written in TypeScript itself. The next one will be written in Go. For us as Angular developers, in Angular version 21, we have still TypeScript 5.9 as a peer dependency, but in the Git branches for version 22, they already have TypeScript 6. Since TypeScript 6 is meant to be a bridge between the old and the new TypeScript versions, it comes with a lot of deprecations, but also pays tribute in terms of default settings, how the ecosystem works in 2026. That means strict mode is on by default. The module option now defaults to ESNext. So in practice, you are in ECMAScript module land for new projects. And target floats to whatever is the current ECMAScript year track. Right now, that lands on ES 2025 on the deprecation side. Target ES5 is on the way out. That is the world before classes, arrow functions, promise, let const, template strings, and all of that. For most of us, that is ancient history anyway. baseUrl and the tsconfig is deprecated. Support for AMD, UMD, and systemjs as module outputs is also deprecated. You can of course also opt out of all those deprecations, but be aware, in TypeScript 7 that would mean game over. It is also worth mentioning that there is an experimental migrator available from TypeScript 5 to 6. And TypeScript 6 is not just about deprecations, it also brought new feature. And one of them is the Temporal API. That's a new date and time API, which is already standardized, and it is a replacement for the old date object. As that, it provides way more functionality. For example, time zones, a calendar which can be used to reflect Chinese or other calendar systems, immutability, and a range of other utility functions. Some veterans of us might remember the switch to the datetime API in Java more than 10 years ago. In some way, it feels like that. NgRx is the most used state management library for Angular, and the official work for supporting resources, but also signal forms, has begun. 2 new RFCs have been published. The first RFC is related to supporting signal forms, and it introduces a new signal type called delegatedSignal. To the outside, it is a writable signal, but it doesn't store a value. Instead, it writes and reads to another signal. What's the use of it? Let's say we have a user object in a signal that has 2 nested properties, name and address. Name has first name and last name, and address has street and city. If we have a form which requires a flattened version of the user object, we could usually create a linked signal. The problem is that changes in the form might be synchronized back to the original signal. At the moment, the only way would be to use an effect, which would be asynchronous synchronization. DelegatedSignal, on the other hand, solves this problem by writing synchronously back to the original signal. The delegatedSignal can also be used for different use cases, but the story for the SignalStore is that if you use signal forms, that each change of a form field immediately updates the state. In some way, you can see the delegatedSignal as a better linked signal, where not a clone is created, but instead the change is directly written back to the original signal. And the other RFC is about supporting resources. It allows to extend the resource which goes beyond the possibilities of the current snapshot function. For example, an extension would change the behavior of a resource in an error state, where an access to the value does not throw. Custom extensions are possible as well, and there is even an option to define default extensions. The 2 RFCs were created by Marko Stanimirovic, and the same Marko was also guest at a previous episode in the Angular Plus show. So if you're interested to hear more about state management and the SignalStore specifically, you should check out that episode. In other news, Martina Kraus was guest at the Angular Plus show, and that means that the topic was about security. Together with the three hosts, Laura Newsome, Brooke Avery, and Jan-Niklas Wortmann, they discussed the whole portfolio of security topics. Be it trusted types, sanitization, attacks like cross-site scripting or cross-site request forgery, but also content policies and the increased risk that comes with AI. At the end, Martina gave some tips where to start with security.
Great awareness what is out there. The new OWASP Top 10 from 2025. There you see the most common attacks. And then just think about, can these attacks occur to my website?
And she also highlighted the OWASP Juice Shop, which is written in Angular and is a playground to try out different vulnerabilities. And we will get a third debounce option in Angular. The first one was the debounce function in Signal forms, which means the debouncing happened between a form field and its model. The second one is the debounced function, which can be used for any signal. And the new one, the third one, is for the asynchronous validators in signal forms. That allows you to have undebounced synchronous validators, but apply debouncing on an asynchronous validator. That feature has been merged into the 22 version branch, but it didn't make it into the latest 21.2.7 version. So it seems we have to wait for Angular 22. Alfredo Perez published a 3-article series about spec-driven development with AI. The probably most popular tool is GitHub's SpecKit, which Alfredo describes, but additionally, he has created a VS Code extension called SpecKit Companion, not just to visualize, but also to edit and execute those specifications. Since GitHub's SpecKit is not the only tool out there, Alfredo also shows alternatives and how SpecKit Companion can be configured to support those tools as well. Finally, the recording of the Angular Graz meetup are available on YouTube. They are published in a regular interval. And that's it. I wish you a nice week and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.